G'day, it's Adrian over at the Sampleist, and today we are going to take a little trip back in time. I have the pleasure in revisiting an all-analogue friend in software, and I am talking about the Korg PS-3300. Now, this particular synthesizer is one of the biggest and rarest analogue synthesizers ever made, and it has become known as one of the most collectible synthesizers in the world. Apparently there's only been around 25 to 50 units that were ever produced by Korg over a 4-year period from around 1977 to 81, after which it was discontinued. So a little quick look around the internet before I did this video shows that one of these units was actually priced at just under £17,000. Yeah, you probably need a little mortgage to buy that these days, so thankfully Cherry Audio has recreated this behemoth of software form for a fraction of that price. We have 3 independent signal generator panels, each with an oscillator, low pass filter and 3 peak resonators, an envelope with velocity, amp and 2 mod generator LFOs, and a per note tuning. Polyphonic mode of up to 24 voices with 3 monophonic modes. Over 360 presets come with this synthesizer for you just to open it up and get running. The PS-3300 comes in AU, VST, VST3, AAX and also standalone formats, so you really are fully covered no matter what DAW you choose to use. Mac, Windows, both versions are available, and you'll need at least around about 8 gig of RAM with 105 meg of disk space. An internet connection will be required to activate this product. The PS-3300 is priced at $69 but is currently on an introductory pricing of $49. You can also pick up an extra sound bank of 100 presets for $9.99. So let's take a listen to what this synthesizer has to offer. Let's now take a look at the interface of the PS-3300. If you ever used a subtractive synthesizer, then you will be at home with what the majority of these knobs do. But before we go any further, a little couple of things I'd like to highlight. This whole interface is scalable, and you can sort of resize it by clicking and dragging on this corner here. You see how it changes to an arrow. You can do it that way. You can also go into this bit and change the percentage view here. So that's a nice little touch. The other nice touch is that you can zoom into the interface very, very quickly by just pressing this little focus button. And there we go, it blows up exactly where you're going. So you can actually move around, scroll around the interface. So you can get a clearer view exactly what's going on. So that's a nice little touch there. And it's really handy because with the sheer number of knobs and dials and parameters to play with, you start squinting otherwise as to what you're actually doing on the screen. So being able to focus into each area, nice handy touch. At first, this interface looks really daunting, but if we look closely at these three stacks here, so you've got 1, 2, 3, they're actually all identical. So once you've got your head round one of them, then you're pretty much good to go. All the signals are internally patched and can only be overridden if you use the patch cables here. So if you sort of patch one across to another, you can see a little thing drags across. So if I see how it brings a cable there, and I can make them vanish. I can also color code them. So I can have a red cable instead now. See how we get a red cable? So I can actually color code all my cables, which is absolutely fantastic. And just to get a new patch, just click on the new button up there. So each voice panel that we've got here consists of an oscillator, which Korg handily calls signal generator. I'm not quite sure why they do keep changing their nomenclature of different things, but hey, that's Korg for you. We have low pass filters, an ADSR envelope, and 2 LFOs and a resonator section. On the far right, this is the master panel here, and this includes processing modules for additional sort of tweaking of your sound. So we get sample and hold in there. We've also got a few, see, you've got sample and hold, general envelope generators, control voltage processors. You also have a couple of effects to apply. So ubiquitous chorus echo, which is like your delay, and then reverb, which you can apply to your sound. So if you just quickly swizz back to these little voice panels here, these are all broken down into separate elements. So we've got the oscillator here, and you've got triangle saw all the way through to PWM. Now I move that to PWM on purpose, because that's what you get for the PWM basic. But then you see this little line here, it links to PWM intensity. Now this sort of like introduces like a chorusy effect. So if I turn this up, I just turn it up to max now, so you get the idea. So it's like a chorusy effect. So you can only use this knob when you're in PWM mode. Just turn that back to a saw. So these little switches here, these allow you to invert the polarity of both the hardwired mod generator, and see, this was frequency there, cuts off frequency modulation. You can turn these on and off just by just literally clicking. And then that allows you to access these little bits below here. So I'm not going to say too much about low pass filter section, because I'm sure we all know how a low pass filter works. I will actually just mention one thing though about the label. Where it says peak, that's your resonance. Again, lovely Korg nomenclature here, putting different words to something that we all know and love. I'm not quite sure why Korg decided to go out on its own with labeling things, but there we go. That's a whole new story. So this little switch next to it though, you see you can change between a PS and MS. Now PS stands for the PS-3300. Now what they actually did as well, Cherry Audio, they actually put it in the MS-20 filter to give a more sort of harsher effect, because it's easier for just play. If I put PS-3300, turn the cut off a bit, so you can actually hear. And if I change that now to a slightly harsher, so if I turn the peak up, you'll hear it more. So there's a slight difference to the sound. Just again, this is the MS-20 filter. This is the PS-3300 filter. So it's slightly softer sounding as the PS-3300. I think that's pretty much all we need to actually go over, because most of it, if you, like I say, if you've done subtractive synthesis before, does speak for itself. And once you've mastered one of these panels, all of these are exactly the same. You've got ubiquitous sort of like scales. You can do 2 foot, 4 foot, 8 foot, 16 foot. It's like playing with the organ pipes. 2 foot's a sort of like takes you up 2 octaves. 4 foot's an octave above normal middle C. 8 is your normal middle. If I play middle C, I'll get middle C, and if I play 16 foot, it's an octave lower if I play middle C. And aside from that, you can patch any of these, and handily it actually tells you where you can actually patch things to. So I can't patch an input to an input. I can see straight away that my output's over here somewhere, so if I put that in there, then it will stay. And I can patch another one to exactly the same output if I so wish. So that's a whistle-stop tour of the interface, and let's hear what it sounds like within the context of a composition. So that's what it sounds like, with a nice little retro nod to the late 70s, early 80s there. What I've done, I've bounced all this to audio so I can actually balance the sounds a little bit more and give them a bit of panning, etc. But essentially I have used the stock presets, aside from which says custom sound, but all the others are stock presets from the PS-3300. The ones that I've labelled here are the actual preset names that I've used, so Dynamic Ensemble, Star Blossom, Motorway Driver, etc. The only one I've actually made myself was the custom sound one, and that's just to sort of fill out the bottom end spectrum. Nothing absolutely earth-shattering. All it is this. Just to give a bit of body to the track. Now the track's sort of intro is based on these three sets of textures: AI, Rachel's Love Machine, Below the Surface, and Time Is Running Out. Now separately they sound like this. So all we're playing here is just fifths, really, a C, a G and a C in different octaves down the bottom end of the keyboard. And we have Time Is Running Out, which is this. And then when you mix them all together, you have this wonderful sort of atmospheric setting. Now, when I first opened this instrument, I pretty much went straight to this particular patch. I think it must have been about a second or third patch I played, and it made this track basically. I built the track around this particular riff. And that's the repeating motive throughout the track and the underpinning sequence. Now on top of that, we add a couple of pad sounds: Dynamic Ensemble and Star Blossom. And then what we did, we put together this little lead track. We have double tracked it. It's basically a polysynth sound with a brass emulation. Those little shakes you can hear are me playing with the mod wheel as I sort of jam along to the rest of the track. And the brass sound is this. Now, we then get this Florian pulse, which is a nice little sequence that comes in halfway through the track. Now, this is literally the PS-3300. There is no extra effects going on any of these channels whatsoever. No EQ, nothing. What you are hearing is literally what is coming out of the PS-3300, and to my ears it sounds fantastic. And we have these little dotted effects in there as well, as Galactic Storm is one of them. Then we have a bit of a softer one going on. And then we have this other lovely effect, memory leak effects it's called, and it goes like this. I do like a laser sweep every now and again, so when we have these little bits here, it sort of like introduces each section of the track, and that's good use of effects really in this type of style. And we get this. So there we have it, a nice little retros, late 70s, early 80s style track. Oh boy, when they said it was a faithful recreation, they weren't kidding. I've fallen in love with the sound of this synth all over again, deep, rich, warm, with that nice analogue feel. You can probably tell from the patch walkthrough and the composition that I've created how much I enjoyed playing with this instrument. It was absolute pleasure and a joy. The interface at first looks daunting, but once you start playing with it, it's really easy to navigate your way through each section. The ability to colour code your patch cables and hide them for a clearer view of the interface is very welcome and really nice addition. If you are looking for that retro sound in your next project, then this synthesizer has it in spades and then some more. I'm so thankful that Cherry Audio decided to recreate this rare synthesizer. No need to go out and get that mortgage to enjoy the sound of a Korg PS-3300 anymore. We would like to thank Cherry Audio for sending across PS-3300 for us to review. It is very much appreciated, and you, dear viewers, I hope you enjoy this little journey, and if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel and visit thesamplist.com to see what we're all about.